I intentionally want to do a simple vlog, right? I'm not weaving together stories, beautiful stories of humanity and kindness and betrayal, tragic comedies. No Shakespearean sonnets today for you guys. We're keeping it simple. I want to edit this whole thing and finish it in like under 2 hours, because I need, right now is Chinese New Year's, and I can afford 5 to 6 hours a day doing this work. But come March, when I start my actual experiments and it's really crunch time, like, I don't have that much time. So I need to practice filming less, doing less, right? Like, yesterday's vlog came out so fucking good. I was so happy with that. But also, I got carried away editing, and I was making like little fine-tuned adjustments. I can't help myself. I like making good stuff that people will like. And so that's all. That's fine and all, you know? I'm glad I did it. It came out great, and I'm gonna cherish it forever. But we can't be doing that every day, right? Can't be doing that every day. So today, keeping it short and sweet. And yeah, I've been sitting out here for 2 hours already. Just like, the weather today is colder. Got a little cold front moving in, and then we got this cool rain. So I've been sitting out here just sipping tea and chilling and enjoying the cold. I love cold weather, cold and cloudy. What I want to do to keep today simple, I have one customer email, or I have 2 customer emails. We're gonna do a little Q&A. The second email is a beautiful email. This customer is great. And they sent an awesome email with six numbered questions that are 6 phenomenal questions. A couple are ones that I get all the time, and a couple are brand new ones that I've never gotten before. So let's dive right into that. First, actually, so there's 2 questions total. He asked about the right infusion temperature for a ripe Puer. Simple question, I get it all the time. Easy one to answer. Damn near boiling hot is great for ripe Puer. Like, you could literally use 100 degrees Celsius, 212 Fahrenheit if you want to. It's the only tea type where I am completely comfortable saying that. Because, and we have bits about this in chapter 5 of the masterclass, but the things in tea that make it bitter and astringent have been completely oxidized and transformed in ripe Puer. So you don't have to worry about the hot water making an overly bitter and astringent tea infusion with ripe Puer. So you can use boiling hot water with that one. On to the fascinating question that I absolutely loved. Okay, here we go. So she has 6 bulleted questions. She says, "Hi Dylan, your 2020 aged white tea has become my favorite tea other than Darjeeling, which has too much caffeine for me. I currently store it in an airtight container, which even squeezes the air out. Question 1, since it is aged, should it be exposed to air to continue to age?" I wrote, "For air exposure during aging, a moderate amount of air is okay. As long as it's not aging in an airtight sealed container, it's fine." Yeah, so for aging in tea, you need some airflow, need some oxygen. You don't want it to go anaerobic. You need that tea to slowly oxidize over time, right? We're oxidizing, right? Question 2, what ingredient holds the tea cake together? This one is fascinating. I've never got this question before. What ingredient holds the tea cake together? I reply, interesting question. I've never gotten that one before. The tea cake is held together by natural tea leaf compounds that have strong adhesive properties when wet, namely mono and polysaccharides, amino acids, and glycoproteins. Before pressing into a cake, the leaves are briefly steamed to make the leaves warm and wet, which allow the cake to solidify as the leaves cool down and dry out. Yeah, super interesting question. I've never gotten that one. What the hell holds, how is a tea cake able to be solid as a brick when they're frickin' leaves? Interesting question. By the way, today I drank my 2 favorite raw Pu'ers lately, back to back. Empty stomach double raw Pu'er morning for me. No big deal. No big deal. The first one was Nan No Shan. The second one is the my Wu Mountain Tea 2019 Lin Tang raw Pu'er cake, which is on a boat in the Pacific Ocean on the way to the United States as we speak. Pretty stoked about that. Question 3. Will you continue to offer a quite similar product in the future? This cake will last me quite a while. Okay. Yes. The Moonlight White Tea cakes are here to stay. The 2020 batch only has so many cakes left, but new batches from the same farm will be produced on an annual or biannual basis. Don't worry. Just trying to secure the bag here. I get people, I've gotten that one before where people, me included, will settle into a tea and like really grow to almost depend on that tea being there. You know, people settle into a groove. You know, there's some neurochemistry involved that I can't fully explain just because I don't have that background yet, but I think the flavor of the specific tea will kind of integrate in with certain circuitry in the brain, and you'll just like, you really want to know that that tea is going to be there for you, right? You've just like spent the last 60 days waking up, brushing your teeth, going down, opening your computer, and having this tea. And like, maybe it's produced some great results. And so you're like, I need to make sure that I have access to this tea in the future. So I definitely get that question sometimes. So don't worry, homegirl. Tea's not going anywhere. Got plenty of that one. Question 4. Would the barnyard taste go away if I used it for kombucha? Fair question. I said, honestly, I don't know. Despite my highly detailed kombucha video on YouTube, I'm not a kombucha expert. I can't predict how the fermentation process might affect the flavor profile. If you do try it out, let me know how it goes. Yeah, oddly enough, despite that insanely detailed kombucha video on YouTube, which I researched for months ahead of time, my experience with actually brewing kombucha is pretty limited. I know a lot about the theory behind the transformation process, but yeah, I can't tell you. I can't tell you with confidence. Question 5. Okay, she says, last 2 questions are about the cocoa tea plant without caffeine. So the cocoa tea plant is like a mutant, you know, it's like almost exactly like the Camellia sinensis tea plant, but there was a genetic variation that affected the gene that creates caffeine. So almost everything else is the same except the caffeine synthase gene. So it doesn't produce caffeine. Instead of caffeine, it accumulates a lot of theobromine, which is the main alkaloid in cocoa, which is why they call it cocoa tea. So does it have most of the benefits of green or white tea? I said, yes, it appears to be comparable in many aspects. There are some benefits derived from alkaloids, which are caffeine and similar molecules, in tea that would be different in cocoa tea, right? Because the alkaloid profile is different in cocoa tea than in normal tea. However, the catechin, amino acid, polysaccharide, and other bioactive phytonutrient profiles of cocoa tea appear to be highly similar to normal Camellia sinensis, and therefore the health effects of cocoa tea consumption can be presumed to be similar. Preliminary animal studies have suggested that cocoa tea has similar bioactive properties, but more research is necessary. I've seen a couple mouse experiment studies that show that cocoa tea has, you know, similar bioactive properties, similar effects, but research is extremely limited on cocoa tea. And I've also conversely seen research suggesting that the alkaloids in tea mediate a lot of the health effects. So that's the caffeine and other alkaloid. The alkaloids in tea are theophylline, theobromine, caffeine, and theacrine. And with cocoa tea, that profile is vastly, dramatically shifted. And I've seen research that suggests that the alkaloid profile is really important for determining the effects, the health effects of tea. So on the one sense, it appears to be similar, but on the other hand, it might be pretty different depending on the health effect and depending on what you're looking at. Finally, do you know where it's available? If not, no big deal. I don't actually. I don't know where you can buy cocoa tea. I have plans to make it available on my site someday, but that is another year or more down the line. I got enough on my plate right now. But I do want to bring cocoa tea onto the site. That would be really cool. I've talked about it a lot. It's a great thing. I've had it a lot before. I love it. So I got to find a source. I've found a couple that are crazy expensive, but I got to keep, yeah. Well, I'll find one that's more budget friendly. Thank you so much for encouraging questions. You can tell I've been saving them up. Smiley face. Judy. Love that. And then finally I say, thank you for the great questions. Feel free to email me anytime if more come up. Enjoy the tea, Dylan. See, honestly, I love, this is like maybe my favorite part about having a tea business and doing tea social media is interacting with other human beings that are like as curious and passionate about tea as I am. And people who love the tea that I have spent so much time and effort sourcing and listing and bringing around and testing and tasting and all this stuff. So it's nice. It's really nice. All right, that's gonna be today's video. I don't even think I'm gonna take on any side quests. Okay, just kidding. I had to take one baby side quest to see my horses and my goats. Hello.